Hello everyone, and welcome or welcome back to Gander Gardening with Dawn. Today is March 24th, and this video today is going to be about the experience that I've had the last year or so growing both ranunculus and begonias. And I'm going to start with my ranunculus journey because last winter, really, somebody mentioned to me on this channel actually that Newfoundland Zone 5A should be a great area to grow ranunculus because it's a long time before our summer really heats up. And they suggested that ranunculus should last well and do well here. So I decided that was a good idea, but I didn't think about it really in time. So I believe it was sometime in mid-late March that I picked up some ranunculus corms here at a local department store. And I just picked up one package. I had never grown ranunculus before. So it was one package. There were 8 corms in the pack, and they were supposed to be Picotee white. So I had researched on my fellow YouTube channels and I had learned about how to start them, and so I followed the directions as carefully as I could, and it went really well. I soaked them for 4 hours. I changed the water after every hour, and then I put them in some barely moist soil, and in my garage where it stays about anywhere from 10 to 12 or so degrees at this time of year. That's Celsius, of course, and they all grew. And so when the later spring came, I put them in pots. And I bumped them up first, in 4-inch pots, and then I put them in 3 large pots outside. There were 8 corms, so I had 3 in one, 3 in another, and 2 in the third one. And they grew pretty well, although I was a little bit surprised that the foliage really didn't look very pretty at all, kind of unsightly really. But when they started to bloom, they weren't all that great, and none of them were Picotee white. Some of them were yellow, and some of them were kind of a reddish pink, and none of them were very full or very double. So it was a bit disappointing, to say the least. However, I was encouraged by the fact that I got all of them to grow. And I thought, I need to give them another try. So I ordered them this time from a very reputable company called Dahlia May Flower Farm. And they specialize in tubers such as dahlias, but they also grow and sell ranunculus and anemones. So I thought I would buy from them. And I ordered 10. It was 2 packs of 5 mixed pink and white shades. And I believe it was late February, mid to late February, that they arrived. And March the 2nd, I decided that I would start. So I soaked them, did the same thing that I did last year, planted them the same way. Wow. They have done really well. They have all sprouted, and I have 6 of them potted up, and I'm going to pot up the other 4 in a video and show you exactly how I do that. And that's going to be right here, right now. So here I am now in my laundry room, which doubles as my gardening room. And I'm going to show you how I planted up these ranunculus corms and how they are all doing. And I'm going to show you how I'm going to bump up the last 4. So as I said, I have 10 mixed ranunculus, and I planted up all of these. I soaked the corms for 4 hours, changing the water every hour on March the 2nd. I soaked them on March the 2nd, and I put all 10 in this tray. This is an 8 by 10 tray, and I doubled it up so it would be a little stronger. And I put, this is Pro Mix. This is the soil, the potting mix that I use most of the time. So I use Pro Mix, and I put all 10 of them in here. I had a row of 3 and a row of 3 on the outside, and I had 4 in the middle. And as they started to sprout, I decided that I would pot up. And on March the 17th, and of course this is the 23rd, so that is actually 6 days ago, I potted up the first ones that were showing great growth in these 4x4 pots. And you can see that they are continuing to grow and turning green and looking great. And once I pot them up, I put them under my grow lights in my garage, and my garage is right outside that door behind me, where it's about 12 degrees today. It's about 12, 13 degrees Celsius in the day, and it goes down to about 10 at night. And so once I put the corms in this 8x10 tray, might be a little bit bigger than that, but not a lot. Then I put it inside this box that I had, and this box worked perfectly to keep it in the dark, because I put the cover over the box, so it kept them dark. It kept the humidity even without having it too humid. And I don't have the soil it's just barely moist. I grow them a little on the dry side, and I think that actually works pretty well for me anyway. So now I'm going to show you how I'm going to pot up these last 4. You can see that they are all now showing signs of growth. And I take a 4x4 pot, and I like to line it. This one I've already done, but I'll show you how I do that. I like to line these because they have a really large hole, and I find too much of the soil comes out. So I use 1/4 of a coffee filter, and I put that in the bottom, and I wet it so that it stays in place and basically disappears. And so the water can go right through there. And I keep, as I said, the soil a little bit dry, and this keeps a little bit of the moisture in, and that seems to work really well. So I have my spade down here, and I'm just going to very carefully, I'm just going to put the spade underneath, and here we go. Lift it up, and you can see, let me put this under it so it doesn't, you see the roots. This is perfect stage to be potting it up. So I'm actually going to use the same soil because this is really good soil, although I must say it's a little bit dry now, so I'm going to definitely be adding a little bit of moisture to it today. And I'm going to fill it a little more than half, maybe. I think I put in too much. A little more than half. And then I put in the corm, settle it in, and then very gently I'm going to put the soil all around it, covering up, completely covering up the tuber or the corm. And I think this one's going to just stick out a little bit at the top, but that's okay. Put another little bit in there, and I like to tap it. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And I've actually completely covered it now. And where the soil is a little bit dry, I'm going to just put a little bit around the edges, not right around the center, but around the edges. And here we go, just a little drizzle around. And I'm not going to put in enough that it will come out the bottom. Oh, and I can tell by the weight that that's just perfect. Let me just see Yep, that's the same weight approximately as those. So yep, that should be perfect. So let me do one more. This one I already have a filter in the bottom. And so I'm going to put some soil in the bottom again, about halfway. And then I'm going to get one of the ranunculus, and I like going underneath it and lifting it. Oh, this one's got a lot of roots. This one's looking really good. Look at this. Look at that. Let me bring it closer. Look at that. That's looking fantastic. So in it goes. And I intend to put these 10 corms. I'm going to divide them among 3 large pots that I have. And I'm going to grow them in pots because I don't really have a lot of spare room in any of my garden beds. And I like to have the control, because we have very wet springs, but I can keep the pots somewhere where they're slightly protected so they won't be getting too much rain, and so they don't get too wet. And also, if there's a really cold night, I could bring them inside. And so that's what I'm going to do. Now this one, you can see just the tiniest bit of green in the very center there, but basically I buried most of it, and a little bit of little dribble of water because they are dried out a little bit. Again, not enough so that it will come out the bottom. Let's see, tiny bit more. I like to go by weight for these things. Yep, that feels good. All right, and I'll go ahead and do the other 2. So now I have the last 4 potted up. So all 10 are doing well so far, and I'll keep you posted about how they do in the future. Right now, I'm going to put them in the garage under grow light where it's nice and cool and they will get lots of light. So fingers crossed that this time they are as advertised and they are full pink shades, and they are the Italian type of ranunculus. I should have mentioned that. They're Italian ranunculus and they are pink and white shades. So we shall see. I will definitely keep you posted. So that was my ranunculus experience so far. The first time I got them all to grow, but I was a little disappointed in what actually grew. This time, hopefully, things will go better. On a whim, I guess it was in late October, I was tidying up the garden, and some of the begonias that I grew last year, some that I purchased last year, were tuberous begonias, because I often purchase the Rieger type, the Selenia type, and they don't create tubers. But I bought some last year. They were nonstop. Some of them were pink. I think 1 or 2 were red, and my favorite were some that were called mocha light pink shades. So just on the spur of the moment, I pulled up the begonias, and the foliage was still attached. There was still some soil, and I just put them in a large pot in the garage on the floor, and I forgot about them actually, really, for at least 2 or 3 weeks. But then one day I thought about it, and I shook the soil off. It was quite dry by that time, and I put them in bags. And I didn't know, I didn't have them labeled. All I knew was 10. I did know that I thought that I took 5 of the mocha light pink shades and 5 of the nonstop that were mostly pink, and I think 1 was red. And I put them right next to my dahlias for the winter. Well, over the winter, I decided to do a little bit of research about when to start them. And most of the sites that I saw said that it takes about 90 days from when you plant the tuber until you have a flowering plant. And I really wanted these to be in flower in May so that they'd be very much like the ones that I would buy normally from a nursery. So on February the 1st, I planted all of the tubers and I put each one in a small 2-inch pot because none of the tubers were very big. And I put them somewhere where it was kind of warm and close to a window, but they weren't under a grow light at that time. And I just kept checking on them to see how they would go. So that was February the 1st. They were very, very slow to get started. But around March the 1st, I was starting to see growth. So on March the 7th, I potted up 5 of them. And these were, I'm pretty sure these are the non-stop because they are green. Now, 4 of them are very close to the exact same color. So I think that these are the non-stop pink, which is a bright, deep pink. I think that's these 4. And just look at how healthy they are. And I recycled some pots that I had bought things in last year. And I think this one, which is the biggest one, I think this one is the red. And you can see if I get one of the others that the leaves on this one, these leaves are darker than they are on this one. So I'm pretty sure that this is the red. And I think that these 4 are pink. So these are doing fantastic. And another reason I wanted to start them early is because I wanted to see what color they were for sure before I decided where to put them out in my garden or in my pots, because I'm a little bit picky about where I put certain colors. Now, my favorites, the mocha light pink shades, they were a little bit slower. So it was actually more like March the 17th that I bumped up these into a larger pot. So these are the 2 largest of the mocha, and I think they're called mocha because of the coffee color of the leaves. Aren't they just the leaves are gorgeous. Look at that. Aren't they something? So 2 of them, of these 5, are really quite large, doing pretty good. Not as large as the nonstop, but pretty good. And one of them right here is doing pretty well. Now, I usually wait until I can see roots sticking at the bottom before I pot them up, before I bump them up into the next size. So this one is still in the original pot that it started in on February the 1st. But 2 of the tubers were very resistant. They weren't growing. There was no sign of life. So about a week ago, I decided to take them out of their little 2-inch pot. And I did see that there were little starts, there were growth points on the top of the tuber. So about a week ago, I planted them up, and you can just see there's one with some growth in the center. And here is the other with a little bit of growth in the center. And I think these are also the mocha light pink shades, but I won't be absolutely certain until they have flowers on them. Now, isn't that interesting? Today is March the 24th. I thought it was the 23rd for a while, but no, it's the 24th already. And this with just 1/4 of an inch of growth. And this one, these were planted, the tubers were started on the same day. So next year, what I'm going to do, I'm going to label them much more carefully. I'm going to try not to do it in such a haphazard fashion as I did last year. I'm going to label each one, and I'm going to start the mocha ones at least a month before I start the others, because they're obviously much, much slower. So, so far, I am thrilled. I saved 10 tubers, even though they weren't very impressive and they weren't very large. No doubt they would. Have you always been saving your begonia tubers? Have you been much smarter than I am? And I hadn't realized what a resource I had with our garage. I really hadn't realized that until I started saving dahlia tubers a number of years ago. And it really makes a huge difference where if you have somewhere, it isn't that anything that I'm doing special. It isn't any special gift that I have. It's just the fact that I have a great space that has a good temperature to store tubers and bulbs and corms over the winter. And so I have been wasting that resource until now, but hopefully in the years to come, because this was so simple. My dahlia tubers, I dig them up and divide them and wrap them and in plastic wrap, and I'm like really careful at 2 days of very meticulous care. But with these begonias, it was so simple. It was very easy to do. But this time, yeah, I'll definitely try to label them. So I'd like to hear about your experience with these, and let me know what you think that I should expect. I'm looking forward to spring and summer, although I'm looking out my window here now and seeing snow continuing to fall. Oh my. Oh well. Anyway, thank you so much for checking this out. And in about a week or so, I'll be doing a video about how the seedlings that I started in February and March, how those are doing. So if you're interested in how that is going, please come back. Thank you for being with me today. I really enjoyed having you here and have a wonderful day.